All right, so we're here. It's time for the final order cutoff from Parts Unknown coming this Monday. I'm going on all the comic sites and I'm checking it out and seeing, yeah, I'm part of it. I'm part of the orders that are due this month. And the weight of it is feeling heavier than it has been the whole time. I still feel good about it. I'm not worried, but I'm a little worried. I feel good, actually. I'm excited to finally be here. There's still a couple things that need to be ironed out. I like to work ahead as much as possible. I like to get as much done as I possibly can before these dates come around. This time we got a new production designer involved, which has been great, and it's been bringing the quality of the book way up. However, that's another thing that's no longer in my own control. So feeling a little stressed about that, about, again, giving another piece of the puzzle away. But honestly, that's one of the best ways to manage stress, is knowing when to hand things off and knowing when you've reached your limit, and sometimes maybe someone else can do better. Someone who's experienced, someone who knows what they're doing. This time I've got Travis Escarfolari. He worked for Bad Idea, he worked for Valiant, and now he works for Pesto Comics, along with others. He's doing an independent thing now, but he's helping out with From Parts Unknown and doing those things that I didn't put as much effort and thought into, or at least didn't have the skill to put as much effort and thought into. And that includes things like the ad pages and the credits pages. And something I'll announce right now, because if you're listening to this, I want you to be part of it. We're going to have a letters page in the back of the comic. So there's going to be 2 pages reserved for people sending in their thoughts about the book. So if you get the book, you'll see what the email is, but I'll spill it right now. It's letters@pestocomics.com. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about the book, and please share them. So we have for the books that follow, From Parts Unknown 2, 3, 4, and 5, because we'll have letters pages throughout, and that's going to be something that we're going to keep doing, at least for this foreseeable future. The book that comes after the series of From Parts Unknown is Snip. That will also have letters pages. So at least for 2026, letters pages at the back of every Pesto Comics comic that you find in stores, something that we don't do on Kickstarter. So that'll be really neat. But part of that is some design and some things that I wouldn't have considered otherwise. And I could have spent some time formatting it and making it look nice and doing all that, but I could get someone who's skilled in that. Adam Freeman of Prana was the one that actually told me, like, get a production designer. It'll make you feel a lot better. And it has made me feel a lot better. And he's found so many little fixes and corrections and just things in terms of getting things to the printer that will make the book just that much better, that much more professional. So I'm very excited. And I'm actually going to get him on board for more than just From Parts Unknown. I'm going to get him on board earlier too. So at the Kickstarter level, so that those books are looking a lot more professional when they show up at your door as well. So having this dual strategy of being on Kickstarter and in the direct market has been a lot. It's kind of a necessity just by the way that comics are funded. I can't rely on the direct market alone, and I can't rely on crowdfunding alone. Both need to be humming along at full speed for this to be a successful endeavor, at least at the stage that I'm at, with not too many series out in the direct market. I've mentioned in the past, I'll mention it again, by 2027, the goal is to have at least 2 books in the direct market. Although the way things are going, we might have 3. We'll see how that goes. It does require a ton of investment on my end and getting artists going, and they need to be paid. So out of pocket for me, and I'm not going to see that money at least until the back half of the year. So it's a huge risk on my part. And it's something that I've really been stressing about. So that's really the theme of today's episode, is talking about stress and how all of this is really coming to a head. The FOC is a big part of it, but it's just the business in general. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, it wasn't the original thing. I was just going to talk FOC and say, oh my God, the books are coming. Make sure you order, blah, blah, blah. And if you're following the shorts, I do that. I do a lot of that. But today I wanted to dig a little deeper into it as well, because I have a colleague that actually, he left his post. He did it for his mental health. It's a reasonable decision. I totally get it. And frankly, if I'm being entirely honest, I've done that a little bit with the Instant Ink comic book podcast. I haven't left the post entirely. We'll still be doing episodes, but I have had to have a conversation with Roberto about it to say, yeah, I think I'm dropping the ball. I am the reason that we're not posting every week. I'm just unavailable with all the things I'm trying to do. And then personal life things as well. It's been hard to dedicate 2 hours every week to putting a page together and talking to creators and all that. I don't want to lose that. It's something I love doing. I've met so many people that way that I then get to meet in real life and build these relationships that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to without the podcast. So I'm very grateful for that, and I've enjoyed it, and I want to continue doing that. However, for the sake of consistency, I don't think I can be there every Tuesday. So based on that, Roberto has done a solo cast, and that looks like he's going to be carrying the torch for the Instant Comic Book Podcast, where I can't, which is great. It is nice having someone to lean on to say, yeah, you keep it going, and I'll be there when I can. And that's kind of, again, to my point, same idea with hiring Travis as the production designer. It's knowing when to hand things off. One of the other things that I think I'll be looking to do in the near future, I've been lettering all the books that I do, and I have a good time doing it. I think about a stage where after from Parts Unknown, and maybe even Snip as well, I'm going to be looking for a letterer to work with. And the way I've been working lately is when I get someone on board, like they're on board for the long haul. So I don't take these decisions lightly. But I do think that a letterer would definitely help in just allowing me to focus on the things I need to focus on. I'm still trying to finalize the scripts for Crimson Frontier, which is the next project with Daniel and JP. And I really want to focus on getting that where I need to. I basically had to do like a rewrite of the outline, but I need to get that to Daniel so that we can stay on schedule. I've received pages for Naked Kaiju Woman #3, so we are somewhat on track to launch that in mid-April. We'll see. I'm still waiting for the last third of that book from Raphael. He's working on it. He again, likewise, he had a bunch of projects all come due at the same time, and I'm a little more flexible, especially with a Kickstarter. So I told him, yeah, take the time. We'll push the release a little bit just so that we can get books in people's hands as quickly as possible after the fact. I don't like to launch just to launch. I'd also like a little more ramp to let people know to join Naked Kaiju Woman, especially without Crimson Frontier right behind it. I think we have some time to spread that out and get Naked Kaiju Woman 3 where it needs to be. And then I'll get them the scripts for 4 and 5. And yeah, I've been looking at the slate for 2026, 2027. And now 2028. So many projects that we're planning. It's getting to be a lot. And it starts on Monday. The numbers come in and they're horrifying, which they shouldn't be. I mean, I've been in the room while all folks have put in orders, and I think we'll clear the minimal threshold that we need. But there's the minimal threshold, much like Kickstarter, right? The number that I need just to hit that offset printing. So it's 1,000 copies. There's something like 2,700 stores just in North America. And with Diamond UK, you can add a bunch of stores in Europe as well. So we have a lot of access in terms of people who are capable of ordering. We also did a big bundle to make it a lot easier for retailers to order. So I was in the room when at least 10% of that was fulfilled. So I think we're in good shape to hit those numbers very easily. But who knows, right? And that's where the stress is coming in. It's all a mystery. But I feel good about it. And as I was getting at, there's the minimum threshold to hit offset printing. And then there's the target that I'm hoping to hit. And then there's the expectation that I have. Those are all 3 different things. My expectation is a little more lofty than the actual, like, what do I need for this to be profitable? But yeah, it's book 1 of many. It's 1 of 5 of this series, but I have plans for tons more. And frankly, I'm not too worried about it just because this was something that I didn't see coming. Yeah, I was looking for direct market distribution, and I was really planning on getting there, but I had no real roadmap of how that was going to happen until I met with Adam and until I got in with the guys at Prana and we started doing all this distribution and all this planning and this, and we're getting to where we are now. I didn't know that we were going to get here for sure, so it wasn't in my plans. I wasn't counting on it, for lack of a better term. I was expecting to have to do this all on Kickstarter, and then where I was going to end up recouping the rest of the money. The Kickstarters cover most of the production, and then the print costs and things bring it back over where I'm still, in the red. But when I get to the trade, that's where maybe I can get into the black, maybe start making a bit of a profit, but at least breaking even. That's the goal, realistically. So having the direct market is bonus, right? Having the direct market might actually make us somewhat profitable that I can then throw into even more books. But I was going to do those extra books anyway. I keep mentioning that I have 4 books in production. And then there's more than 4 now that I'm planning behind that. So I'm very excited for all the books that are coming. All the ones that, were just ideas that now I can see through, that now I can get out there and have people actually read sooner than later, at least within a couple years. And again, it all starts with Monday. So I'm going kind of all over the place, and that's just me managing my stress here. That's how I feel in my head. I feel like every time I think about something, I think about something else that needs to be done. Surveys for Big Smoke Pulp, right? They should be going out this week. The digital copies are more or less ready. I still have to tweak the EPUB, and that's what's holding me back a little bit. But because those files are ready, the printer's ready too. So I'm about a month behind on distributing those, but that was another thing that I didn't need weighing on me, right? Something that I could have finished earlier if I was a little more focused and was following up with authors and stuff, because that was part of it too. It was like prodding authors, being like, hey, good with your edits? Like, are we ready to go? But again, that's I'll take responsibility for that. So yeah, I could have taken a little more stress off my plate, but also I needed a break here and there too. And that's why it was interesting having that colleague kind of step away from the company. I'm not I won't say who it is, but it's not hard to find. If you go online, you can see I mentioned it in public, right? But yeah, interesting thing to see that someone achieved this dream, was very happy to get here, but did the healthy thing and said, you know what, this is a lot. This is too much all at once. I need to breathe. I need to focus on staying healthy and doing that. I felt burnout in the past before with my corporate job, but I've been there. I know what it's like to wake up and though you're doing something you enjoy, and though you're doing something you're somewhere you thought you wanted to be, it's hard to get out of bed. That feeling it's hard to describe. And I almost didn't believe it was a real thing until I felt it myself, where it's just you're being a suck. Life is easy. But, relatively speaking, I guess it is. I'm not splitting logs or doing anything like that, but the brain works how it works. So even though, yeah, it's all trivial and silly and it's comic books and whatever, if you feel the burnout, you feel it. It is what it is, right? So it's something actually I was proactively trying to manage with. I knew all this was coming. So I started talking to a therapist. I've never really done that before, so it's something new to me. I figured, hell, I'll try it. And again, fortunately, having a corporate job, I have benefits, and I was able to actually do that. It was something that was on the table, and I said, you know what? Can't hurt to try to avoid the burnout that I have felt in the past. I don't want to feel it again, especially at this juncture where there's so many important things happening that I can't take a break. I can't just say, you know what, I need a vacation. I need to be here for this FOC. I need to make sure that Kickstarters are being fulfilled, and I just need to do it. I can't just step away unless I never want to do this again. And I don't want to be there. It's too early. I'm right at the beginning. And this is the hard part. And I know that. So rather than putting myself in a position that I had to make a hard choice, I did what I could to try to prepare for it. All this to say, I'm not disparaging anyone who has done that. So like I mentioned, somebody else stepped away, and that was their way of dealing with it. And I'm not saying this to say that there's a right way or wrong way to do any of this. For the person that stepped away, I mean, they did what was right for them, right? I'm not saying that as this is a better way to deal with it or anything like that. I hope that's not how this is coming across. I just want to share how I'm dealing with this. And that's only because I've had the experience myself. I've felt total burnout, and I never wanted to feel it again. I didn't want it to be a risk. Even though I wasn't feeling it at the time, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to proactively get ahead of this feeling. So this stress that I'm feeling about the FOC right now, and knowing that Monday is coming and it could go really poorly, or it could go great, or it could just be fine, I might have been more of a mess if I didn't have ways of dealing with it. So really, I think that's my point this week is, do what you need to do to feel better, but know that there's tools out there to help you manage your stress. Sometimes you're going to be put through the ringer, and sometimes it might not be worth it. And you really have to make a decision whether the stress is worth it for you, right? It might not be. You may think it is. You may feel like it's something you've always wanted to do, but it's okay to decide that you didn't. I'm a film school kid, right? I mention it all the time. It's part of my identity now that I went to film school, but I don't work in film. Why don't I work in film? Because at some point I made a decision and I said, you know what? I'm not willing to pay the cost involved to have that life that I thought I wanted. I've seen a glimpse of it, and I don't like the balance involved. And so if that's how you feel about comics, if that's how you feel about your corporate career, if that's how you feel about anything, try to have a real assessment. Try to really look at yourself and decide, is this what I want for me? Is this what I want for my family and the people around me? Is this what's best for me? We're very lucky in a way. I know there's a lot of horrible things happening out there. And I understand that some people have it better than others. I certainly do. I have the ability to sit in this basement and yammer on to all of you about nonsense, effectively, about comic books, right? That's a privilege. I totally understand that. But just in the grand scheme of things, we're not in a famine. Most people have some kind of shelter. I say most people, but there are systems out there to support people for the most part. We're in better shape than our ancestors to a degree. Again, not everybody's experience is the same, but I think just on an average, people are doing all right. The fact that we can just yammer on about comic books, the fact that you can listen to me yammer on for 10 to 15 minutes about comic books, I think we're in a good spot, but it could always be better. And sometimes what's better for you is a conversation that you certainly have to have with yourself and decide, is this what I really want? And am I willing to pay the price to get there? And sometimes the answer is no, and that's okay. I know I want to get there. I know for me, this is what I've wanted for a really long time. Not just at the beginning of Pesto Comics, but since I was a kid. I've always wanted to be in comic books. I've always wanted to tell my stories in some form or fashion, and comic books were one of my favorite medium. My cousin introduced me to them, and I had to very carefully read them to not damage them and all that stuff. But I was hooked. Death of Superman, X-Men, all that stuff. Like, I was in, and it's something that's never left. I'm edging up to my midlife part of my life. So from the time I was a kid to midlife, I've been a fan of comics. I've always wanted to tell stories. I used to put together comic strips and magazines that I would just draw on regular paper and staple together and do all kinds of things. So I've always wanted to be in this industry. And the fact that I am, the fact that the book will be in stores in April is wild, right? So I'm just hoping that enough stores ordered it, and we'll find that out on Monday, really Tuesday. But the day is coming, and it's wild, and I'm very excited and very scared, and all of it, all at the same time. And I think that's okay. I think I'm managing it okay as well, and that's what's important, right? At least to me. But what's important to you, I hope, is all the cool stories that we're going to get out there. Like I said, so much. This is like the beginning. This is day one of a new era of Pesto Comics. The fact that we're going to be on store shelves, it's surreal. I can't believe it. So I'm so excited for April when I can go into stores and see the book on the shelves. I'm going to be talking about this for a long time coming. But yeah, lots to be excited about, lots to be scared about, lots to be worried about. But let's just enjoy the good times when they're coming. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So with all that, I want to thank you for being here. I know I was kind of all over the place this week, but I hope you appreciate the point, which is, do what's good for you. If you need help, get it. If you need time, take it. But if you need to push through, know when that's worth it as well. Sometimes it's not always easy to know. Unfortunately, a lot of it comes with experience. But just know people are here to help, myself included. So if I can help, please let me know. I'm always happy to do so. And with that, I want to thank you for being here. We'll talk again next week after I know the numbers, and we'll do kind of a review and see how all that went. But very excited. Big week coming. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.